It never fails. Every year, just as the high holidays start coming closer, I get an anxiety dream. And this year was no different. Here was my dream this year. I find myself on a vacation in a beautiful camp setting. There are lots of people and it's woodsy and peaceful. I must be on some sort of retreat. And then at night, we're all sitting around in a circle in some cabin, and it instantly becomes clear to me that everyone around me is looking at me, expecting me to speak. I don't. Then somebody asks me, they say, "So, Rabbi, what's Yom Kippur really all about? What's the true essence of the day?" I look at the crowd of people. I'm about to answer. And my mind goes completely blank. Completely. There's nothing in my head. It's as if I've never thought about this before. As if I don't know a thing about Yom Kippur. I'm flustered. I have absolutely no idea what to say. And then I open my mouth, and words start coming out, all by themselves. The words don't really belong to me at all. I say to them, I say, Yom Kippur, it all comes down to just two themes. First, and I will remove the heart of stone, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And second, I could see them all leaning forward, waiting expectantly for number two. And I say, and second, and I will remove your heart of stone, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And then I woke up. Such a strange dream. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The first thing I thought was, in my waking life, I would never have answered the question that way. I would have talked about repentance and fasting and making changes. I'm sure that I wouldn't have just quoted a verse from the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 36, verse 26. And then I wondered why it was that in the dream I said there were two themes, but all I did was repeat the same theme twice. And this is what came to me. I realized that everything we hope for and pray for on Yom Kippur really does boil down to turning a heart of stone into a heart of flesh. There's no possibility for repairs, no hope for change, no hope for forgiveness if your heart is a stone. But I still couldn't figure out why I said there were two themes when I only offered one. And here's what I realized, Nashuba. There really are two themes in what I said. First, you have to remove your heart of stone, which is a huge undertaking. And then you have to acquire a heart of flesh, which is an art form all of its own. So here we are, Nashuba, at Kol Nidre tonight. And the Kol Nidre is that prayer that annuls our vows. We say, may our vows not be vows. May our oaths not be oaths. Do you really think that Judaism would let us off the hook so easy? Is it possible that our tradition is actually saying to you, it's no big deal, you don't really have to keep your promises. Your word doesn't really matter. I don't think so. So what vows are we here to annul tonight, Nashuba? Nashuba, we all start life off with an open, curious, loving heart. And then inevitably we get hurt. Life can be cruel. Someone lets you down. Someone shames you, betrays you, someone breaks your heart, someone abandons you, God does not answer your prayers. And we start making vows. You know the vows. I'll never get fooled like that again. I'll never talk to him again. I'll never forgive her for what she did to me. I'll never put myself on the line like that again. And then there are the judgments that we seal against ourselves. I'm to blame for this. I'm not lovable. I'm not capable. I'm bad. I'm stupid. I'm weak. I'm ugly. And there are vows we make against God, too. I'll never pray again. These vows we make, we take them to heart. Our hearts, and slowly, day by day, year by year, that open, curious heart of ours turns to stone. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Who wants to ever get hurt like that again? Of course, there's only one problem with our plan. The heart of stone isn't just armor that protects us from incoming attacks. It also makes us less receptive to incoming love and surprise and blessings. And the heart of stone prevents all the goodness inside us, all that love and forgiveness and joy and spontaneity and romance from ever getting out. We become cautious, controlling, judgmental, cynical, and rigid. We find ourselves living within a very carefully defined range of emotions. Happy, sad, interested, bored. But your heart is capable. Your heart is aching to experience its full range of emotions. And that's why we say Kol Nidre tonight, Nashuva. We've come to annul those vows we made that have caused our hearts to constrict. Let our vows not be vows. Let our oaths not be oaths. Nashuva, I need to take you back to my dream again. Here I was, writing this sermon about hearts of stone, and I realized I was missing something. I thought, why was this dream given to me? What was my soul trying to say to me? I didn't have that dream just so that I could write a sermon for you. I was talking to me. What was it that I needed to learn and hear? And the truth is, Nashuva, I think I dreamed that dream with the verse from Ezekiel because I know about hearts of stone. I've lived it from the inside. Most of you know my story. I was a happy, curious, fun-loving kid, part of an amazing family. My parents were so in love, and there was my sister and my two brothers, and our house was always a commotion of cooking and kids playing and music and holiday celebrations. And one day when I was 15, my father was murdered. And I learned too soon what it was like to have a heart of stone. I was filled with rage. I hated myself for being weak and vulnerable. I hated my mother for not being strong for me. I hated my father for abandoning me. I hated my friends for having trivial concerns about hairdos and sweet 16s. I hated Shabbat. Give me a minute. It's a fast. I'm doing my best. I hated Shabbat and all the holidays for reminding me of beautiful days that were dead now. I hated the prayers with all their false promises about all the great things God does. Really? Where was God? I hated God. for doing nothing. Here's the vow I made when I was 15. The vow I made was, I'm on my own now. I don't need anyone. There was a storm raging inside me. But outside, my goal was to be normal. That's the dream of every high school kid. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm perfect. I'm a straight A student. Just don't pity me. Just don't get too close. Just don't make me have to feel anything. And then one afternoon, when I was in high school, the loudspeaker comes on in the middle of high school. Naomi Levy, attention, Naomi Levy, please report to the school psychologist's office. And made my way to the school psychologist's office. The sign on the door said her name was Mrs. Schwartz. When I walked in, I saw that she was Hasidic, with long sleeves and a long skirt and a wig. Great, I thought. I sat down, and involuntarily, I put my hand over my mouth like this. I was so angry and upset. And there was no way in this wide world that I was talking to this woman. I was just sure she was going to say, tell me about your father. Or, how's it going at home with Mom? Or, how are you feeling? I knew I wasn't going to give an inch to this woman. But my eyes were welling up. They were betraying me. I was using every ounce of my being just to hold it together. And I could tell she saw the explosion I was holding back, the storm inside me that was taking every ounce of my energy to contain. And she said, it's okay. You don't have to say anything to me. You don't have to ever see me again. And then she said, hey, do you want me to teach you some tools to stop you from crying? I can teach you how not to cry. Her response to me was so unexpected. She wasn't going to try to puncture my wall. She was saying, I can help you hold up that wall. She was saying she was on my side. She was showing me I was seen and understood, and even though I had made that vow, I'm on my own now, she was telling me I wasn't on my own. When I stood up to leave, she said to me, she said, one day, when you're ready, the tears will come. And trust me, you will welcome them. A year later, on the first anniversary of my father's murder, I was 16. And I was on my very first trip to Israel with Camp Ramah seminar with all my camp friends. And we went to visit the Kotel, the Western Wall. And I walked up to the wall, and at first I just touched the stones. And then I got closer and closer. And I smelled it. I smelled the Kotel. And the Kotel smelled like my father. It didn't smell just a little like my dad. The Kotel smelled like my father's armpit. And there I stood, eyes closed, with both of my arms outstretched, leaning against the wall so hard that I couldn't tell anymore if I was standing up or lying down. Just lying there with my nose in my father's armpit. and I began sobbing. The wall melted. And I knew in my heart, I had a father who will never leave me. And I had a mother who had more wisdom and love in her heart than I will ever know. And I had siblings who adored me and who I adored. And I had friends who had my back forever. And I had God, who might be a little lame. God, did you hear me? I said you're a little bit lame. But I have come to love you again, even more. You are a lot less powerful than I once imagined, but more perfect than any of us can ever conceive. And I had me. I wasn't so weak after all. It was okay to be me. It was okay to be vulnerable. And all at once, I annulled my vow. I didn't have to go it alone anymore. I wasn't on my own. I never had been. Nashuva, what melts the heart of stone? Sometimes it's a sense memory that cuts through all your defenses and brings you back to something precious. That's what happened to me at the Kotel. It's like that moment in the movie Ratatouille. Have you seen that movie? When that mean restaurant critic tastes the ratatouille and he's instantly transported back to his mother's table. Mama! Nashuva. Now I understood why the Kotel is called the Wailing Wall. And why the famous Hebrew song, HaKotel says, Yesh anashim im lev shel even, yesh avanim im lev adam. There are people with hearts of stone, but there are stones with hearts of flesh. Cutting through the heart of stone and arriving at the heart of flesh isn't a one-time job, Nashuva. The stone heart isn't gone forever. At every loss, at every disappointment, at every new challenge, oh, it's there, ready to return, ready to take its familiar place inside you. And it takes so much courage to stay alive and soft and vulnerable. Nashuva, to me today, it feels good to feel lost and hurt, and to know that these feelings are good to have because it means you are alive with a heart of flesh that is also able to feel ecstasy and bliss and kookiness and abandon. So let down the I'll never forgive. Let down your stubborn stance. Let down the I'm not going to apologize first. Let down the gripe you have been holding against God. Forgive. Forgive life. Forgive her. Forgive him. Forgive yourself. Let our vows not be vows. That's why we fast today, Nashuva. It's not to torture ourselves. It's to break down your defenses and get to the heart of flesh. Nashuva, it takes a lot of energy to carry that boulder around. Put it down. Maybe there's a hurt you're holding on to, a resentment, a jealousy, a guilt, an anger. Put it down. Let its grip over your heart be released. That's why we put our fists over our hearts tonight. It's not to beat yourself up. It's to wake up our hearts of flesh. We're here tonight to crack open the walls, the defenses, the excuses. This day is calling us back to ourselves. We want to be alive again, not dead to life, not going through the motions, not marking time. That's what teshuva is, Nashuva, a return to your suppleness. Yom Kippur is called Et Ratzon. It's a day of grace. It's the single most powerful day of the year for openings and change. The The rabbis say a very important line. They say, Itzumo shel yom mechaper. The very power of the day itself cleanses you. What does that mean? It means there's work we have to do, but the day has a power all its own to work on you. Like that moment of grace that I had at the Kotel. So let it in. Take in the words, the music, the comfort of community, the lightness of a fast that is here to transport you and to strip away all that muck that's dimming the light of your true luminous self. Today God says to me and to you, open for me the eye of a needle, and boy, I will make you an opening wide enough for chariots to pass through. Tonight, God is calling out to us, Shuvu Banai. Come back, my children. It doesn't matter how long you've been away or how far you've strayed. Come back. Nashuva, tonight is a time for reunions. So I'm asking you, what are you running from? What are you afraid of? Take a moment right now and ask yourself, whose heart is hardened against me? And who is my heart hardened against? Nashuva, these 25 hours, if you really put your soul, your body, and your stony heart into it, can lead to surprising softenings. Each service will crack you open just a little more until all your defenses just melt away. And when does that happen? Help me out. Na'ila. But once that final shofar blast is sounded, your work isn't over. It's just beginning. Did you remember what I said about my dreams? There are 2 steps. The first is removing the heart of stone. The second is gaining a heart of flesh. And you gain a heart of flesh by remaining open when your impulse is just to shut down again and go back to your old patterns. But once you start doing the daily work, Nashuva, the work of daily softening, so many unexpected gifts will follow. The first thing you may notice is your breathing will change. Instead of your short, tight, shallow breaths, there will be ease. The tightness in your chest will give way to a feeling of openness. Your arguments with people will change. Instead of needing to win, your need will be to hear and to be heard. Your parenting will change, and you will be less rigid, and you will make room for more fun. Your approach to your work will change, and instead of needing to push things through or force things out, which sounds kind of constipated to me, you will find yourself making room for inspiration, for new ideas, for collaboration. Oh, and then your driving will change. When someone wants to cut in front of you on the freeway entrance, instead of honking your horn and giving them the finger, which only makes you an angry person with high blood pressure, you will say to yourself, it's only 1 extra second out of my day. Maybe this poor guy is late for work. And you motion to him, go right ahead. And all day long you'll be thinking, I'm the kind of person who helps people out. Your prayer life will change. Instead of saying, give me, there will be a gratitude. Oh, your love life will change. When you're on a date, instead of thinking to yourself, what's wrong with this loser? You'll start thinking, what's right about this person? Your marriage will change. Your predictable routine will give way to romance. Okay, that's the soundbite of the sermon. When people ask me, what did your rabbi talk about on Yom Kippur? You could say, my rabbi said that if you fast on Yom Kippur, it will improve your sex life. The way you read the news will change, Nashuva. Instead of learning about the suffering of innocent people and saying, that's not my problem, something will stir you and grip you. And you will say to yourself, what can I do about this? What can I do to help? I need to get involved. And in your life in general, there will be less whining, less worry, and more wonder and joy, and a wider range of emotions. And soon people will start gravitating towards you naturally because you will be radiating a light. And soon people at work and people at your home and lifelong friends will start asking you, hey, what's changed in you? You look great. What's your secret? Is it a new shrink? A new antidepressant? A new diet? A new workout? And you will say to them, here's my secret. Ezekiel 36:26. I am turning my heart of stone into a heart of flesh. Nashuva. There's a perplexing line in the Talmud that always stays with me. It says, I am searching for something I have not lost. Searching for something I have not lost. That's the paradox of our lives, Nashuva. We spend our days searching for what we've already been given. And God cries out to us, if only you could see. The relationships are here. All we have to do is repair them. The heart of flesh is here. All we have to do is access it. A world full of surprises and miracles is here. All we have to do is notice. Nashuva. We've come here this Yom Kippur to make great changes. Great things are here for us, sweet blessings. One of my favorite lines of all times comes from the movie Moonstruck. When Cher tells her mom she wants to marry Nicolas Cage, and her mom says, Loretta, do you love him? And she answers, yeah, Mom, I love him awful. And her mom says, oh, that's too bad. Nashuva. It takes courage to let down that heart of stone and replace it with a heart of flesh. Help me out here. Is there cause to fear? Yes! Say it. Yes. Is it possible you might get hurt? Yes. Could somebody break your heart? Yes. But is it still worth trying to melt your heart of stone? Yes. Why? Because we don't want to be dead to life anymore. It takes courage to let down that wall. But oh, Nashuva, oh, the payoff. The main phrase we say at the high holidays is, Le'ela u'le'ela. We're here to take it higher and higher. You are beautiful, Nashuva. You are holy. You are loved. You are strong. Nashuva, this Yom Kippur, may we all fulfill the prophecy of Ezekiel. Remove your heart of stone, Nashuva, and let your heart of flesh lead you back to the life you've been searching for. Amen. Shana Tova.